The Awakening Giant. The grand chamber of the Galactic Council hummed with the voices of 200 species. Light from 3 artificial suns streamed through the crystal dome, casting prismatic reflections across the gathered representatives. At the center podium, Ambassador Terrence Chen of Earth stood with squared shoulders, his voice steadied despite the obvious tension. For the 7th time in as many cycles, humanity formally requests full voting rights within the Galactic Council, Chen stated, his words echoing through the vast chamber. We have met all established criteria for advancement from observer status. High Counselor Vextrol, a Midorian with pearlescent scales and 6 eyes arranged in a perfect hexagon, tilted his elongated head. The gesture was subtle but unmistakable to anyone familiar with Midorian body language. Contempt. The Council acknowledges Earth's petition, Vextrol replied, mandibles clicking between words. However, as previously determined, humanity has yet to demonstrate the necessary biological, technological, or cultural maturity required for full Council participation. A ripple of agreement passed through the chamber. Most species nodded their appendages or flashed colors indicating approval. Humanity had only achieved faster-than-light travel 87 years ago, barely an eye blink in cosmic terms. They were newcomers, upstarts who had stumbled upon ancient progenitor technology buried beneath their Martian surface and leveraged it to join the galactic community. Chen's expression remained diplomatically neutral, but his knuckles whitened as he gripped the podium. Humanity has fulfilled every written requirement in the Charter of Galactic Cooperation. Our scientific contributions have accelerated medical research across 16 systems. Our literature and art are studied throughout the galaxy. Yet you move the benchmark each time we approach it. The requirements are both quantitative and qualitative. Ambassador, interjected Kolvosh of the Ardani Collective, her gelatinous form pulsing with bioluminescent patterns. Your species still engages in internal conflict. Your resource consumption remains inefficient. Your genetic diversity is limited. These are not qualities of a species ready for Council authority. What went unsaid, what was always unsaid, was that humans were simply too unpredictable, too adaptive, too quick to change. In a galactic community that measured progress in millennia, humanity's rapid advancement made the established powers nervous. Chen bowed stiffly. I understand. Earth will continue its observer status and will revisit this petition in the next cycle. As he stepped away from the podium, whispers followed him. The humans would accept their place eventually. They always did. 3 months later, everything changed. The Krell expedition, a joint scientific venture between humans and 4 other species, vanished while investigating a neutron star in the Cygnus Arm. Initial reports suggested a catastrophic equipment failure. The Council, following standard protocol, established a committee to investigate, a process that would take approximately 17 years to complete. Humanity refused to wait. Within weeks, Earth dispatched its own investigation team. They returned with evidence that the expedition had been deliberately sabotaged by agents of the Vor Imperium, a powerful Council member with territorial interests in the Cygnus sector. Humans demanded justice for their 23 dead scientists. The Council urged patience, process, proper diplomatic channels. Then the orbital platforms around Mars went silent. Monitoring stations tracked massive energy signatures, unlike anything previously observed. Commercial traffic reported being politely but firmly redirected from certain regions of the Sol system. The first hint of humanity's response came from Outpost Artemis on Luna. Station Director Sophia Patel addressed the Council via quantum link, her face composed, but her words precise and cutting. As humanity has been deemed insufficiently mature for meaningful participation in galactic affairs, we have decided to pursue our own path forward. Effective immediately. Earth is scaling back 90% of its involvement in joint projects. We thank the Council for its guidance during our formative years in the interstellar community. The statement was diplomatic, measured, and absolutely terrifying to anyone who understood humans. Counselor T'Pel of Vulcan Prime, one of the few who had spent considerable time on Earth, immediately called for an emergency session. "You do not understand," T'Pel insisted, four of her tentacles gesticulating frantically. "When humans speak this way, calm, polite, retreating, it means they are planning something momentous. They do not accept defeat. They merely change the parameters of engagement." The Council dismissed her concerns. Humans were merely posturing, they'd assured each other. The species was dependent on galactic trade, technology sharing, and resource networks. They would return to the fold within months, humbled and ready to accept their proper place in the cosmic hierarchy. But Earth did not return. Instead, they accelerated their withdrawal. Human colonies throughout the galaxy began centralizing, consolidating resources. Scientific missions ended early, with equipment and personnel returning to Sol. Cultural exchange programs wound down. Trade agreements were honored to the letter, but not renewed. Diplomatic posts remained staffed, but quieter, less engaged. And meanwhile, the energy readings from the Sol system continued to build. Council analysts finally began to take notice when quantum telescopes detected enormous construction efforts throughout Earth's system. The orbital infrastructure around Mars had expanded tenfold. Mercury's surface was being systematically disassembled. Its materials ferried inward toward the Sun, where massive structures were taking shape. Venus's toxic atmosphere was being harvested for certain compounds. Asteroid mining operations had increased by orders of magnitude. "They're building something unprecedented," reported the scientific subcommittee. "The scale suggests either a defensive system of immense proportions or what?" demanded Vextrol. The scientist, a quantid with a reputation for unflappable calm, actually hesitated before answering. "Or they're preparing to move their planets." The chamber erupted in chaos. Moving planets was theoretically possible, but had only been attempted twice in recorded galactic history, once by the long-vanished progenitors themselves, and once by the Dol Collective in a desperate attempt to save their homeworld from their dying sun. The Dol had failed catastrophically. "Impossible," Vextrol declared. "Humans do not possess this technology." "With respect, High Counselor," countered T'Pel, "we don't know what technologies humans possess, because we have systematically excluded them from our highest councils, while simultaneously underestimating their capacity for innovation. They reverse-engineered FTL travel in 1/8 the time it took my species." The Council could no longer ignore the situation. The diplomatic mission was hastily organized and dispatched to Earth. Led by Counselor Jean of the Delvian Peace Enclave, a species known for their diplomatic skill, the delegation arrived at Earth's orbital entry point, expecting the usual bureaucratic welcome. Instead, they were greeted by a human woman alone in a small shuttle. She identified herself as Dr. Eleanor Wright, science liaison to the Sol system government. "The Council delegation is welcome to observe our progress," she informed them with cordial professionalism. "However, I must inform you that Earth's leadership is currently unavailable for direct negotiations. They are overseeing final preparations for the Exodus Initiative." "Exodus Initiative?" Jean inquired, blue skin darkening with concern. Dr. Wright's smile was enigmatic. "Humanity has decided to seek its future elsewhere, Counselor. We appreciate the Council's guidance during our developmental phase, but we have concluded that our species requires space to determine its own destiny." "You cannot simply leave the galactic community," insisted Assistant Counselor Brechtal, the Madorian representative. "There are treaties, obligations, protocols, all of which we are honoring in full," Wright interrupted smoothly. "Every contract will be fulfilled before our departure, every obligation met. As for protocols, the Galactic Charter clearly states that species retention is voluntary. Section 42, paragraph 17, if you wish to review it." The delegation was permitted to observe the construction efforts from a carefully controlled distance. What they witnessed left them shaken to their core. The humans had developed a stellar manipulation technology that defied conventional understanding. They weren't just building ships or even arks. They were constructing a massive network of gravitational manipulation devices around their sun. They're going to take their entire solar system, Jean reported back to the council, voice hollow with disbelief. All 8 planets, countless moons and asteroids. They're planning to move everything. Where? Demanded Vextrol. They wouldn't say precisely. Dr. Wright mentioned promising regions beyond the Sagittarius arm, where humanity could develop without constraint. The implications were staggering. A species that could transport an entire stellar system could eventually establish an independent civilization anywhere in the galaxy or beyond. Humanity would be permanently beyond the Council's influence. For the first time in 700 years, the Galactic Council found itself facing a problem it couldn't solve with patience and bureaucracy. The humans weren't rebelling or demanding concessions. They were simply leaving. And suddenly, that seemed like the most terrifying prospect of all. The stars realign. The Grand Chamber had never been so crowded. Representatives from every member species filled the tiered seating, while countless others attended via holographic projection. The emergency session had been called with unprecedented urgency, less than one full rotation of procedure, setting aside millennia of carefully established protocol. High Counselor Vextrol looked diminished somehow, his luminescent scales duller than usual. The delegation to Earth has returned with concerning news, he announced, mandibles clicking with agitation. Ambassador T'Pel will present their findings. T'Pel glided to the central podium, her tentacles arranged in a formal pattern denoting grave matters. The holographic display behind her activated, showing the Sol system in real time. The transformation was shocking even to those who had been following reports. Mercury was now half its original size, its materials repurposed into a vast array of stellar engineering structures encircling the Sun. Venus's atmosphere had been significantly thinned. Mars was surrounded by construction platforms that dwarfed the planet itself. Humanity has developed what they call a stellar drive, T'Pel explained. Based on principles of quantum gravity manipulation and dark energy harvesting, they intend to transport their entire solar system to a new location approximately 12,000 light-years distant in an unexplored region of the Perseus Arm. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Impossible, declared Xinchelat of the Corvin technocracy. The energy requirements alone would. They've solved the energy problem, T'Pel interrupted. They're using their sun as the power source, converting a small fraction of its mass directly into usable energy through a method we don't fully understand. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. When? Asked Councillor Jean, her voice barely audible. Final preparations will be complete within 60 days, T'Pel replied. The actual transit process will begin thereafter. Vextrol's upper eyes blinked rapidly, a sign of extreme distress in Midorians. This cannot be permitted. The gravitational consequences of removing an entire stellar system could destabilize neighboring regions. There are 15 inhabited systems within potentially affected space. Humanity has provided detailed gravitational models showing minimal disruption, T'Pel countered. They've designed gravitational dampening fields to mitigate effects during departure. Their calculations appear sound, even by our most rigorous standards. Nevertheless, Vextrol insisted, the Council cannot allow a junior species to undertake such a drastic action unilaterally. We must intervene. T'Pel's tentacles darkened, a warning sign. With what leverage, High Counselor? Humanity has carefully ensured they violated no laws. They'd fulfilled all treaties. They've even offered generous severance packages to non-human residents of their system who wish to remain in Council space. The chamber erupted into competing voices as species argued over legal precedents, security implications, and potential responses. Some advocated for military intervention, a concept so rarely considered that the mere suggestion sent shockwaves through the assembly. Others proposed emergency concessions, offering humanity immediate full council membership and additional privileges. Through the chaos, an auxiliary communication channel activated. The main display shifted to show a dignified human woman with silver-streaked black hair and eyes that reflected decades of diplomatic experience. "This is Chancellor Amara Okafor of the United Earth Government," she announced. "I apologize for interrupting your deliberations, but it seemed time for direct communication." The chamber fell silent. "Humanity has monitored this emergency session with interest," Chancellor Okafor continued. "We understand your concerns about our Exodus initiative. First, let me assure you that all scientific models confirm there will be no significant gravitational disruption to neighboring systems. We would never endanger other species." Vextrol leaned forward. "Chancellor Okafor, the Galactic Council formally requests that Earth abandon this reckless plan and return to established diplomatic channels to address your grievances." Okafor's expression remained poised, but something hardened in her eyes. "High Counselor, this is not a negotiating position. The decision has been made. For 87 years, humanity has attempted to integrate into the galactic community. For 87 years, we have been patronized, marginalized, and dismissed. The Krell expedition was merely the final indication that the Council structure as it exists cannot accommodate species that develop at humanity's pace. We do not blame you for this. Your civilizations evolved over tens of thousands of years. Stability and caution serve you well, but they will suffocate us." The chamber remained silent as Okafor continued. "We are not leaving in anger, but in recognition of fundamental incompatibility. We wish the Galactic Council peace and prosperity. We simply must find our own path forward." Councillor John moved to the podium, her blue complexion paler than usual. "Chancellor, the Council is prepared to make unprecedented concessions. Immediate full membership, 3 permanent seats on the High Council, access to all technological repositories, anything within reason." A sad smile touched Okafor's lips. "You misunderstand, Counselor. We're not leaving to extract better terms. We're leaving because we've glimpsed what humanity can become without the constraints of fitting into an established order. The stellar drive is just the beginning." Images appeared alongside Okafor, showing theoretical technologies that made even the most advanced Council scientists gasp. Gravity manipulation on scales previously thought impossible. Energy generation methods that defied current physical models. Medical advances that suggested near immortality. "We developed these breakthroughs in just the few months since beginning our withdrawal," Okafor explained. "Imagine what we might create in a century of unfettered development." "You would deny the galaxy these advancements?" demanded Vextrol. "Not permanently," Okafor replied. "We propose 100-year separation. Time for humanity to develop on our own terms, and time for the Council to consider how it might evolve to better incorporate rapidly advancing species. After that period, we would welcome renewed contact, as equals, not as wards." The debate raged for days. Legal experts cited ancient precedents. Military advisors presented intervention scenarios, all of which ended in disaster given humanity's demonstrated technological leap. Economists calculated the commercial impact of losing Earth's markets and innovations. In the end, the Council had no choice but to accept the inevitable. Humanity would leave. In a final gesture of cooperation, Earth agreed to permit observation teams to witness the departure. Selected representatives from every Council species gathered at a safe distance as the day approached. On Earth itself, the final evacuations were complete. The entire human population, 11 billion souls spread across Earth, Mars, and countless habitats, had participated in the greatest feat of collective action in their history. Not a single human remained outside the Sol system. The stellar drive activated precisely on schedule. To the observers, it began as a subtle distortion around the sun, a shimmering like heat waves rising from desert sand. Gradually, the effect intensified. Instruments recorded massively complex gravitational field manipulations as the drive established its hold on the entire system. There was no dramatic flash, no thunderclap of cosmic proportions, just the surreal, impossible sight of a star and its planets beginning to move in unison, accelerating along a precisely calculated vector. The human engineers had somehow solved the relativistic problems that should have torn the system apart, maintaining the delicate gravitational ballet of planets and moons while propelling everything forward. As the Sol system gathered speed, Chancellor Okafor transmitted a final message. This is not goodbye, but farewell for now. Humanity carries with us the lessons learned from our time in the galactic community. We hope that when we meet again, both humanity and the Council will have evolved in ways that allow true partnership. Until then, we wish you peace among the stars you know, while we seek new ones. The observation teams watched in awe as the Sol system accelerated beyond conventional detection capabilities, leaving only emptiness where Earth's star had shone for billions of years. In the aftermath, the Galactic Council faced a profound reckoning. Species that had been marginalized in similar ways to humanity began demanding reforms. Younger civilizations questioned the wisdom of patience measured in centuries. The careful cosmic order that had prevailed for millennia showed the first cracks of fundamental change. High Counselor Vex Troll, in what would be his final address before stepping down, summed up the sentiment that echoed through the chambers. We believed we were teaching humanity patience. Instead, they taught us that there is such a thing as waiting too long to embrace the future. They showed us that the stars themselves can be moved by those with sufficient vision and determination. We must ensure that when humanity returns, they find a council worthy of their partnership. The observation platform, where humanity made its departure, became a monument. Inscribed upon it were the human words that now haunted the galaxy's oldest civilizations. Too late to fix it, not too late to learn from it. And somewhere beyond known space, humanity continued its journey, not in exile, but in anticipation of what they might become among new stars of their own choosing.